Okay, it is week number 10 of J490, Critical Issues in Criminal Justice. The quarter has gone by pretty fast, and next week is it. The last day of class is December 15th, or a week from tomorrow, by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So this will be the very last lecture. So I'm going to get right into what we're going to cover for today. It won't be very long. So as you can see, your last lecture is today, and then I have in here your previous lectures from week 4, 6, 8, and 10. I didn't do one in week 2. There was a issue that took place that many of you are aware of, and so I did week 6. So now let's take a look at our announcements for the week. You can see the one from last week as well. In the 10th week, gender and race issues will be presented. Chapter 17 through 19, Vision of Change, and the sections discrimination questions and the video female warden in a male prison. I'll conclude with that. I'll attempt to play that. It may not come through strongly and clearly, and if not, you can listen to it on your own. Then the discussion assignment, an end to discrimination. Your initial post was due yesterday at 11. Well, now actually it was due day before yesterday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, and your reply post is due Saturday. Finally, your criminal justice critical issues final project is also due this Sunday. And then you should have taken the ACAT criminal justice test. I submitted information by email to you so that you will know the code and everything to get in. It is an assessment. It's not graded, but it's something that you will receive 30 points if you complete it, and if not, you'll receive a 0 for that. Okay, and then reminder of my motto. So let's take a quick look at the course calendar. Course calendar tells us where we are, and again it repeats the issues that I was talking about, and then it tells you what's due on Sunday. And then the last week, your reading assignment, your initial post is due on Tuesday as normal, but your reply post is due Friday the 15th. Your written assignment is due also. And a reminder that the quarter ends at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on December 15th. No assignments will be graded after that, so it's very important that you have them in. So let's take a look at week 10. Again, the assignments. An end to discrimination. Again, your initial post was due on Tuesday. Your reply post is due on Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then your critical issues project needs to be submitted, and be sure that you satisfy all the requirements that are listed here. You will lose points if you don't satisfy all these requirements, especially the APA, citing your sources, and in a reference page also. Okay? And so you're going to citations in the body and references at the end. Make sure you grammatically check it, and make sure that you satisfy all of these points here as well in the project. And then finally, you were given the ACAT information. Uh, Please complete that and then submit when you took the test. There is someone who submits me reports to let me know that the test was taken. I did receive a report as of today saying that the test had not been taken. So make sure that you do take that. It's very, very, very important. Okay. So now let's go to the last section for today, and that's our lesson content. Okay. Again, repeating your assignment 17, 18, 19, and then the video female warden in a male prison, discrimination questions, and then viewing your ACAT results. That's yourself, your discussion, critical issues project. So make sure you take that. Okay. So we're gonna talk about the ACAT in a minute. Okay, video, we're gonna save that for the very end. So let's talk about discrimination questions. There are certain issues that you should be aware of, is that there are still some issues of discrimination that take place in criminal justice against minorities and females. And so we're going to talk about that in a few minutes with a female warden. But right now, I want to go over some of these terminologies that you need to be familiar with. Which act allowed women to become regular patrol officers on the police force? Was the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Equal Employment Opportunity of 72, the Equal Housing Act of 68, or Public Law 100? It was actually in 1972, the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, not the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This act resulted from the explosive momentum of the women's rights movement. Term for when African American police officers are discriminated against in policing policies and treated as outcasts at home. Black and blue, double jeopardy, double discrimination, black in blue. So, what do you think? It's not this one. The correct is double discrimination. Black officers may find it difficult to fit in with the police culture, and then they're also shunned in their communities as well. The English common law term known as the rule of thumb allowed a husband to beat his wife with a whip no wider than a thumb. True or false? True. Yep. Of course, we don't have that anymore. Times have changed, though, and some cultures still tolerate this, but we don't in this country, so don't even go there. That would be domestic violence. As of 2008, all states recognize sexual orientation as a protected class. Yep, it was false. Only 17 recognized sexual orientation as of 2008. Well, now you know that has changed because of Supreme Court decisions and because of the way the laws are applied. So all 50 states now. Blatant or official discrimination against women and minorities has been eliminated in employment practices and criminal justice. Now, I know the answer is going to be true, but that's not necessarily. The truth is, it says blatant or official. So in other words, policies actually openly, they have been eliminated. That is true. However, there still exists latent discrimination. That means behind the scene and how it actually is applied, and inequality in some locations. Additionally, as it says here, in many cases, gays and lesbians have joined the list that face discrimination. So on the face, it's no longer legal, but behind the scenes and how it's applied, it still takes place. And that's the end of this exercise here. Okay. So now let's go down here and talk about the area concentration achievement test, which you will have the ability to view and print your score after you complete the test. But be certain to save or print a copy for your records before you exit, because you will be unable to retrieve the copy later. In addition, Rasmussen assessment will receive copies of the test. And if you have any further questions, contact the college at this website right here. So what is it? For the content, you'll receive a percentage rather than a range. And your performance on the test falls within the percentile range given. For a test of measurements arranged in processing order, the PTH, the percentile is a value of such. The bottom line is that they want to see how you performed in the program, what you got out of the program. And it's something. It's not something that's graded, but this is explaining to you how that whole thing works. So make sure that you do take that test. So now there have been a number of instances that, as it says here, minorities and women in criminal justice have decreased, but the question is discrimination still an issue, or has it disappeared? So this short video with a warden who oversees a male prison will give you some insight. And I'm going to take off my, so that it comes through better. So, okay. So now let's see how it turns out. This right here.
I believe that in this day and age, no, it's not unusual for women to be wardens of male facilities. I would believe that probably 20, maybe 25 years ago, it would be unusual when women weren't really that involved in the management positions in corrections. But I think that as time has gone on, you'll be finding more and more women as wardens in male facilities. Director Rick Snyder at the time appointed Carol Shiplevy as the first female warden in a male facility. In fact, during that time in the mid-'80s, that unit management concept that Director Snyder brought in from a federal prison system, he introduced that in Ohio. It was at that time that he was appointing unit managers into the different facilities, and I was selected and fortunately enough to be appointed as a female unit manager in a male facility. So I think that probably that was the start of not only forming females in management positions and administrative positions in institutions, because it never happened before. And it was the start of the females really starting to move up into administrative assistant positions and to deputy positions, and also eventually warden positions. Some of the major challenges, I believe, are probably more of a personal nature. I mean, I look at warden as a warden, whether they're male or female, but I think that sometimes as a female warden, you sometimes doubt your confidence level. But personally, female, I think has a little softer touch about them, and sometimes I think that may be misinterpreted as a weakness or misunderstood as a weakness. I really don't believe it is. I think this is just the challenge of folks looking at you in a different light. I think some of my officers and some folks look at me as maybe the mother image and often come to me with concerns that they may have not only in the work life but also in their personal life, and I think that that's good because that opens up a line of communication. I think the staff look as a warden male or female. We have so many policies and procedures to follow that, staff are pretty much accustomed to following those procedures. When it comes time, for decisions to be made, those type of things, I mean, every warden has their thoughts on things. We're not always right in doing and making the decisions we make, but we make them to the best of as we possibly can. So I don't think staff looks at me in any different way other than being a female, but I don't think they look at my management style, my decision-making style, any differently than they would a male warden. I think that the inmate, on the other hand, may look at a female as being a little bit weak, just because of they're not, maybe they aren't accustomed to the directness of a female to a male inmate. So they may look at me a week. They'll try me with some questions and things like that. They'll ask me things that they expect me to answer at that time, and of course I have staff that does that. So when I don't answer them, they may either look at me as that I know the answer, but we usually will tell them that I think you have staff that can address your issues better than I can at this point, and I think they are the person that you need to go to. I think it's the manner in which you handle yourself. You always have to think about what your other people are perceiving you as, what your perception is. I believe in the department has an old motto ever since I started way back in the 70s, and I've tried to always remember that, and that's being firm, fair, and consistent. And I think that if you're firm, fair, and consistent, no matter if you're dealing with procedures or policies, or whether you're dealing with staff and giving them a response to a question or concern that they may have, I don't think you can go wrong if you're fair, firm, and consistent, because you follow the same guidelines with everyone and everything. And I think that if you do that, I believe people will respect you and understand what your decision-making process is. Yes, I believe it's safe for an officer, for a female to be an officer. I think that you always need to be on guard. I think everyone should be on guard at all times. I would encourage women to apply, but I would encourage women to also remember that they are a female in a male's environment. And I believe they always need to be cautious and take precautions and never leave themselves alone in any position. Our department has a very strong stance that we have a working alone policy. We do not allow staff to be working alone. Even if we have an officer on third shift who might be working a pod by herself, we have a roving officer in there to be at her every call. But the officers also have radios. So, I encourage women to apply. I encourage women to always remember who they are, never compromise their position in any manner, and always remain professional.
Okay. Well, that's it for that video. But if you paid attention very carefully, she laid out many of the things females have been able to run male prisons. I have a student. She is a major in the Illinois Department of Corrections, and she has had to operate Stateville on several occasions, which is an all-male facility. And so that point that is well taken, and I've heard it over and over: firm, fair, and consistent. Very important that you maintain that, as I've been told several times, and that it keeps things in order, keeps things intact. And so the point of the matter is that with the material that you read today, you discover that there's been a direction that discrimination has moved in terms of especially dealing with the issue of females, but the criminal justice profession has still some ways to go to make sure that women are promoted at the same level and rate as males, and that there is a very serious issue, as she said, of violence that takes place in these male facilities, but that males take the lead. They have the staff people to make sure that doesn't get out of hand and to keep things under control. So I would recommend that you again go back and read the material. I don't have much more for today. I hope that you will have enjoyed this course. there are a number of things that you need to make sure that taken care of. At this point, again, back to making sure that your project is submitted by Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, so it'll be on time. And if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. I've given that information, and so I'm going to say good night at this time to terminate this session.